Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting class with the International Face Painting School. My name is Celeste Williams, and I'm going to be your instructor in this series today, which is kind of a little change of pace if you've been doing a lot of classes. It is going to be more on the business side of things. And for those of you who don't know me, I consider myself kind of an expert when it comes to face painting in general, but especially when it comes to marketing your business, setting up your business structure, and ultimately making things easier to operate in your face painting business. So, a little intro before we get into the topic at hand. So, I have been a professional face painter for the last, I'm going to age myself, 13 years. It will be 14 years this June of 2025. Quite a milestone. I am just so fortunate and blessed to have arrived at, year 13. I actually started face painting when my daughter was 2. It kind of started as just a thing to make some extra money. At the time, I was studying to be a makeup artist, believe it or not. And it was kind of a hard industry to get into. And then I saw someone at a fair that I had taken my daughter to painting faces. They had a line literally wrapped around the corner. And it dawned on me like, oh my gosh, this is actually something that people do to make quite a bit of money because, I'm good at math and I was adding up like, okay, we have 20 kids in the line, like, quite a bit of money. So long story short, I started practicing, and back then there was not an international face painting school. There was barely YouTube. So I kind of just started with the skills that I had and practiced on my little mini model, my daughter at the time. And I got really good at it really fast. But then it kind of occurred to me like, all right, yes, I can do face painting, but how am I going to actually get customers? I know a lot of you watching might be in that little phase where your skills are improving, you're doing all the things, taking all the courses, but business might not be as lucrative as you'd like. So that was kind of my conundrum. At the time, I was at a job I absolutely hated. I literally built a website that was so ugly. It took me like an hour to do. I had no idea anything about business, anything about marketing, but I knew, like, all right, I need a website and I probably need people to find it. So, fast forward, I took a lot of classes on all things business, especially when it came to digital marketing and figuring out how to get my website in front of people. So if this is not your first time meeting me, then you already know SEO, aka having my website being found on Google, was my like turning point in my business. It actually allowed me to ultimately learn some hard business lessons, but definitely allowed me to learn how to scale and get a team of artists to help with the demand, because that is literally how much demand I was getting by being on the top of the search results. So I said all that to say, fast forward 13 years, I always do this more, not really as a bragging point, but as a point that lean in and kind of listen to the points that I give because I know what I'm talking about from experience, and B, more of a motivating factor that if I can scale my business, do all the things with little to no knowledge, with barely any money, struggling single mom, now a full-time face painter, full-time entrepreneur, that you can do this too. Okay, so I have some sales figures. So 2023 was our biggest year to date. We grossed $189,000, a little bit more, but rounding. And keep in mind, I do manage a whole team of artists. I'd say my take home is about 50% because I do go out and do the majority of the jobs, but I do have a team of artists that I pay, and I pay very well. So I did not make all this money, but I think for a face painting business in general to make this amount of money is a huge, huge win. It's very, very rare. And then this past year, 2024, little tiny difference because I kind of scaled down my team a little bit to focus on training, but we grossed $181,000. That is gross. That is before taxes. And so I just wanted to kind of give my backstory for those of you who might be watching who have never met me, and to really, really, really set the tone for this class, which again is going to help you in the business side. And that is really kind of where I specialize. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, you probably already know the title. It is all about working smarter, not harder in your business. And we are going to discuss some ways to use QR codes to do that. Now, I am sure by now you have at least heard of a QR code, but on the rare chance that you're like, what is that? A QR code is basically a digital thing that you can use with a mobile device to scan and make all sorts of things happen. Most commonly, we've seen QR codes a few years ago really make an emergence during COVID. So COVID was where obviously we don't want to go back to, but there was kind of like a happy accident that happened during COVID. And that is that we had to utilize technologies in ways that we've never used them before. Most commonly, restaurants, right? At those restaurants where they didn't want people sitting down, they want everyone away from each other, they didn't want a lot of germ spreading, they didn't use a lot of printed menus. Why? Spreading menu to menu, you're breathing on them, they're like, ooh, COVID, right? So QR codes really helped a lot of restaurants figure out how to A, get people in and out really fast, and B, do away with the paper and use a digital menu. That is kind of the most common place that I remember seeing QR codes. Do you have any ideas? Oh, by the way, my number one rule, anytime you watch a class of mine, all right, I need audience participation. So if you have any ideas, I'll be asking you for feedback periodically during this presentation. If you have any questions especially, please put it down in the comments. I will be happy to read and respond as we go through this journey together. This is a group activity, okay? All right, so that's kind of where QR codes made an appearance, but they've been around for a long time. And COVID was about 5 years ago. So I bet that some of you have already utilized this in some ways for your business. I really hope that by the end of this, you at least discover one new way that you can implement a QR code in your business to ultimately help your productivity. Okay, enough yapping. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, all right? So I have 5 ways, all right? And I kind of organize these from like least difficult to most difficult. But the good news is that even the 5th one isn't something that's going to take a ton of time, all right? It takes maybe an hour, okay? Maybe, depending on how technically savvy you are. But the first few, 60 to 90 seconds, okay? And these are small things that you can do to make a very big impact. So really quick, I wanted to talk about kind of, yes, QR codes, right? But more so, I really like the idea of finding ways to make everyday things that you do all the time in your business, more convenient, not only for yourself, but especially for your customer or your client. Studies show that unfortunately, consumers are getting a little bit lazier due to technology and advancements in technology. Let's take one of the biggest businesses you can think of, Amazon, right? Amazon has created these super quick ways to order things, get them immediately, fast, easy, convenient. And so finding kind of ways to simplify things for your customers, that is where this training kind of stems from. And that is the whole goal of introducing these strategies of using QR codes. So again, as we go through, if you're like, oh yeah, I like that. Or if you're like, I think this could use a little improvement, I would love to hear in the comments. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so the first one is a virtual tip jar. Remember, I said I'm going to arrange these from like low to a little bit higher, okay? So I don't know about you, but number one, I know that in some countries, tipping is not something that you do. This is an international group. I know we have viewers from all over the world. This is probably going to be the only one that if you're watching from somewhere other than the US, that you're going to skip, okay? The other four are definitely something that everyone can utilize. This is a very small thing. I'm not going to go through like, oh, how do you set up a QR code? But if you have Venmo, if you have PayPal, if you have Cash App, if you have a website, you can very easily create a QR code, place it on your display, place it on your actual tip jar that people put cash in. I see that's the most common thing that I see. But I do want to remind you that sometimes I work with corporate clients who are like, ooh, we don't want tips. So I'm not going to go through my whole booking process, but I absolutely ask every single client if it is okay for us to accept tips at their event. Now, I am a firm believer in kind of a holistic experience for your clients. You don't want to really do anything that's going to be like, ooh, like, I didn't really like that. Kind of making sure that your customer is satisfied from beginning to end is a very big part of scaling your business. Trust me, it's the little things. And I know asking if you can or can't accept tips might give you like but just kind of letting your client know that you care enough to even ask is a huge thing. So I ask every single one of my clients. Most of them don't mind, but some of them do, especially some of my higher end corporate clients, and that's totally okay. Totally optional. I never pressure people to allow us to tip or to give us any tips. But I am going to actually share my screen really quick. And I am going to bring up Wix's QR code generator. Now, I do want to talk really quick because there are several sites, and I mean over 100 sites that you can use to make a QR code. I do want to advise you that some of those sites, the QR code is free to make, but after a certain period of time or after a certain number of uses, that QR code won't be accessible unless you pay. Okay, so that's how they get you. All right, I actually did it before early on, like years ago, and it worked. And then all of a sudden, like a month later, it wasn't working because I had to actually pay, right? But I really like this particular QR code generator because it is totally free to use. I have used it multiple times. I've referred dozens of people to use it now, probably over 100 actually, and nobody has had any problems. So you can use any QR code generator you like. I know Canva has some pretty cool features. Your website, if you do or don't have one, it might have some cool features. But I'm gonna go with Wix on this. And I'm going to show you how easy this is, okay? So let me share my screen. And we are going to share this right here. Okay, so I pretty much looked up. Sorry, I'm waiting for it to share. Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay. So I looked up it's my search engine on my computer, but you can Google it, Wix QR code generator, okay? And what it is going to show is something at the top, but you're not going to click. Click on the one that says Wix.com free QR code generator. I'll see when it comes up. Yeah, the actual domain is a little difficult, so I recommend just go ahead and Google it. Okay, so here it is, Wix QR code generator. Now you're gonna go to create QR code. Now again, we're talking about a virtual tip jar. We're gonna get to some of the other cool stuff later. You're gonna click on URL. So at the top, there's tons of different options, URL, and again, depending on how you want to accept these digital tips, you can go PayPal, you can go Cash App, etc. You can either input the URL here or directly on Cash App. I'll show you really quick. Cash App, Venmo, etc. There will be usually a QR code option on there. But what I found is that, like on my Cash App, when I pull up the scan code, you have to pull up Cash App and then scan it. This is kind of a more of an easy thing, putting in a URL, because they'll just take their camera and then they'll put it in there. So that to me is like the easiest way to do that. And you'll just put it in there, and then once you have it on there, you just push download. Once you download it, it'll download it as a file. So I'm just gonna put faces.com. Push download. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Download, and then you can save it as a PNG, SVG, JPEG. I don't think it really matters. I'm gonna click PNG, and then that's it. Download it to my computer. Boom, you can print it, you can display it any way you want. I'm gonna show you once we go to the next one, how I personally like to display my QR code. In this case, you would kind of put it like on your little tip jar that you keep on your table or whatever, just so people don't have cash, they can scan it. Easy peasy, done, okay? So that's a digital tip jar. Super simple, not very complicated. Again, only took, a couple seconds to set up, all right? Okay, now the next one, I am going to actually use the exact same tool that we use to create a digital business card. Now, I talked about convenience in the beginning, right? The way that I like to do this, I'm going to show you another thing after this that you can also use as a business card, but we're going to do this first because this ties into the next thing. However, on my actual display, I display a QR code, and right above it, it says save our info with a little arrow so people know, okay, scan this. Now, I don't know about you all, especially if you manage a team, having physical business cards was a pain in my side. I used to run out all the time as someone, like in the summer, we literally do over 100 events. It was so hard for me to keep physical business cards. So once I switched to this, it saved me so much of a headache. Also, I was able to send this to all the artists that I contract and say, hey, just, display this somehow. This is our business card. If they have a little word board, they just put it on there. Easy peasy. I am so grateful for technology, y'all. All right, let me show you how to do this. If you've never done this, I think this one is going to be one that I think everyone will be grateful for. Okay, so let's share the screen again. We're going to actually go to that same free QR code generator. It is here. Okay, perfect. Here it is. Okay, so this one, what we are going to actually click on, instead of URL, we are going to click V card. So if you don't know, a V card is basically like a virtual contact that goes to your phone. So when you, especially if you have an iPhone, or even if you have a Samsung, it works too, but when you send someone a contact, you can share it as a contact card instead of copy paste the phone number. But when you click on V card, it actually has all of the options here, okay? So name, what I recommend is to put in your business name here, Mystique's Fancy Faces. Now, organization, I have a theory about this. Have you ever struggled with having multiple contacts in your phone? And so instead of saving, you save their name, but maybe in the notes you'll put Kaylee's mom, or, you'll put mechanic from whatever, right? So that instead of being oh, what's their name? Oh, Kaylee's mom, right? Oh, it's Sarah. You can just kind of put a little shortcut because our phones are really smart. When you search those certain keywords, it'll pull up. So I like to put face painting company in the organization. Face painting company. There we go. Okay. Now, address is optional. Really, all of these things are optional. I'll just put the city, Portland. How about that? Okay, country, yada yada. Email, absolutely. We're gonna put in email. Mystique's Fancy Faces at Gmail is my email. We're gonna put in the phone 503-660-8223. Now, This is an extra bonus. I have a Google Voice number. It's totally free to use. I really prefer not to use my actual personal number, only because when someone's calling, I like to know that they're calling for face painting or calling for the actual business purpose. So I have this number, which is my Google Voice number. It's saved to my phone as Mystique's Fancy Faces. So when someone calls, that pops up because the calls are forwarded, totally free, right? They're forwarded and I can answer Mystique's Fancy Faces. How can I help you? Totally professional, great. I don't have to worry about it. All right, now I'm gonna put in the website. If you don't have a website, totally optional here. Okay, boom. So double check, make sure. All right, we got Mystique's Fancy Faces. We got that. Cool. Download. No error there, but I think they want me to put in the HTTP, the whole thing, which is fine. Okay, great. Got it. QR code is here. Okay, now I'm going to show you really quick what this looks like when you actually download this. Okay, so I have this QR code. It is here on my computer. I'm going to pull up my phone and I am going to scan it. Now, when you scan it, you'll see this yellow thing pop up at the bottom and it's prompting you to save the contact. So I am going to, I know it's so hard to see, but I am going to click it, maybe. Okay, and then when I click it, look at that. The actual contact pops up with all the information. All you have to do is just remember to tell your customer to create new contact and then save it or push done on the side. But you see, Mystique's Fancy Faces. If I can get a little closer. The light. Okay. Face painting company. There's a number. There's an email. And also the website. And then it says Portland and all that good stuff. Done. Now, I really prefer this over an actual business card. If you don't and you want physical ones, totally okay. I always say, when I tell you it's the Celeste way of doing it, but it's not the only way of doing it. Ultimately, you do what's best for your business. But even myself, when I have business cards, I don't even know where I put them half the time. I am a very I don't know. My brain doesn't do well with papers. Like digital is so much easier for me, and I get very good feedback from my customers and clients. I even get some people that run businesses that are like, "Oh my gosh, like, how'd you do that?" And I just tell them, "Hey, this is how I did it. Super easy, free." It's like another cool way to connect with your clients. So there you go. There's a quick little hack to a digital card. Oh, I need to show you really super duper quick. Let me pull this up. I will show you my word board and what it looks like. I want to pull it up first because I have a million, gajillion, quadrillion things on this application that I use to create graphics. But I am going to share this, which is here. Okay, so this is what my word board looked like. And right here at the top is that QR code for that digital card. Love it so much. Super easy, super convenient. I used to have my logo here, but this is one that I customized for my bigger clients and I put their logos on there. So another free tip. So there you have it. Super easy, super convenient. Very, very simple. Okay, let's move on because guess what? We're on to number 3. Which is, so on Instagram, this is most commonly, you will see it on Instagram, where you go to someone's link in their bio and, you go to someone's link in their bio and what it says is like, link, and there's all these links. Well, that is called a link tree. Now, I'm going to show you how to create this. Now, the good news is that you don't need a website, but we're going to use a website platform to make it. Now, you don't have to pay for this. The only difference that you're going to see if you don't pay for this is one, you can't customize the domain, which is okay for this purpose, actually. It works just fine. And B, you're going to see like a little ad on the top from Wix, which is okay as well. But if you hate it, you don't have to use it. And the good news is if you have a website, you can actually create this on any platform. So I'm going to use Wix because that is like my go-to, but you can do this on Squarespace, GoDaddy. You can do this on Canva. You can do it on WordPress. Any website platform, you can do this very, very easily, okay? So let's do this. Okay, now I am going to show you what this looks like on my end. If you've never been on Wix or you don't have a Wix account, the only difference is it is going to ask you to create a free account. That's the only difference, okay? So I am going to share this. Okay, let's do it here. Okay. Share the screen. Perfect. Okay, so this is just what it looks like on the back end of a website. What you're gonna do here, I'm gonna actually do this from the beginning so that everybody can follow along, okay? So this is kind of like the dashboard of Wix, but if you've never ever done this, we don't want that. What you're gonna see here is in the beginning, it'll just say like create a site. So we're going to create a brand new site, okay? And in this case, we're going to start from a blank canvas. So we just want white, okay? Come on, hurry up. I was going to do all this loading stuff. Great. Okay, loading. The good news is if you already have a website, you can skip this part. All you're gonna do is add a new page to the site, a new blank page, okay? So that's essentially what we're trying to do here. Okay, so I am going to go to add, okay, so we'll just leave it here. Okay. Blank page, great. So essentially what a link tree is just a series of buttons, okay? So what we're going to do is go to add button, okay? Now, the good news is that if you have already edited a site before, then you know exactly what this is, okay? So essentially this is just a blank page, and all we want is just a series of buttons. Now, what's the purpose of this? The purpose is, okay, with the digital business card, the way that I showed you, you can only have, a couple of information. There's really no room for a lot. Here, you can add as many buttons as you want. So let's say you have a TikTok. Let's say you have an Instagram. Let's say you have Facebook. You can put, I'm going to change the text. Follow us on Instagram. Okay. Now, we can keep it black, white, whatever, but you can design these. You can change the color. Let's change it to be blue. How about that? Ideally, you would want this to match your branding. So whatever your logo looks like, whatever the colors are on your website, whatever the colors are on your Instagram, whatever color scheme that you have for your brand, we're going to go with that. But I'm just using blue for the sake of using blue. Also, another good thing would be add, hopefully you have a logo that you can add. Let's see. Nope. See, this is a brand new site, so I have to go find it. Upload from computer, and I bet that I have it downloaded. Just got this laptop, so let's see. Okay. I am going to just use this random logo from someone. It's not my logo, but I'm gonna use it. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can use that. I need to upload. It has to be a picture. Okay, upload. Oh, yeah, can't see this, but I'm looking for a picture. What is this? Okay, let's see. All right, I'm just going to use this and pretend it's my logo, okay? All right, so ideally you would want like your logo at the top, whatever. And then you're going to create your link tree. Other thing that I like is you can also change the style of these buttons, but just for now. But here's where the magic is. So you are going to link it, and in this case, it's going to be a web address. So it's going to be your instagram.com, and you want to make sure this URL is correct. Speaks fancy faces. Okay. It's going to open in a new window. Done. All right. Now, essentially, you can just copy and paste and then change it each time. All right. So let's say you want to push follow us on TikTok. Okay. Now you're going to actually change this link, right? www.tiktok.com. / mistakes. Fancy faces. Okay. So you get the point of this exercise, but I want to make sure that we do not forget kind of the biggest ones, right? Okay, so you know that V card that we just created. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, here it is. We can also add that here if we wanted to. You can add that here. Let's copy and paste because we have a couple more things that I think are really important to add to this link tree. You can put your website. Here's a good one. Oh, I don't want to put right. Leave us a review. Okay. Now, this is really, really useful. I always recommend that you go to your Google business profile. If you don't have one, that's your homework for sure. Create a Google business profile and upload that URL to this link tree, okay? So in my case, let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Google business profile. Here it is. Next. Okay. So this is what this looks like really quick. So right here, when you go to reviews, should be reviews. Let's click it again. Okay, it's right here. Let's see. Here we go. Get more reviews. All right, I have 42 reviews. But when you go to the side and you click reviews, get more reviews. Oh, it's even a little QR code. That's cool. But we're going to copy this link, and then we're going to come back to this link tree, which is here. I have to find it. No, not this. Oh, here it is. Oh my gosh. All right. Anybody else always have way too many tabs? That's me. Okay. So here we go. Now we're just going to copy and paste it. Boom. So now on this link tree, we have follow us on Instagram, TikTok, leave us a review. We could put save our info. Okay, let's do one more. You get the point. There are so many things you can put here. Another quick tip. Have you ever gone to a networking event, or maybe you went to a face painting convention. This is the perfect little thing that you can do to kind of like do a little cute thing, right? You can change this. So if you're at a convention, right? Let's say, nice meeting you at the event today. Or, you could put the name of the convention. You want to make sure it looks nice, right? Okay, I meant to scale it across the whole thing, not make it bigger, but okay. We're going to twist this because I want to erase this. Okay, great. Nice meeting at the event. Name of the event. Boom. You just have this at the top. So people are like, oh yeah, super cute. I've done this at plenty of networking events. It works great. Okay. The events to review. Let's see. You could also add like a way for people to subscribe to your emails, all kinds of things, okay? So this is the point. All right, now we got this. We're gonna push publish, okay? Let's just say, this is my site for it, but I'm gonna put Mystique's Fancy Faces, okay? Save and continue. So this is a free domain, all right? Publish is thinking, okay, here it is. So we can view it. Okay, I'm going to share this. So this is essentially what it looks like live, but again, it'll look a little bit different on a mobile phone. You want to make sure that you edit it in mobile, but we're just going to grab this domain, which you can't see, but it's at the top. We're going to grab the web address, and we're going to come back to Wix free QR code generator again. Okay, here it is. Share this tab. Create code. Now this is going to be a URL again, and you're going to take that same URL, and here it is. So it's the free one, right? All right. Phone. Let me show you what this looks like. So you're at an event. Someone wants to connect with you. You can also use this as a digital business card. You just want to make sure that you decide which one, but there it is, the little yellow part. Here, let me take this down so you can see a little bit better. Okay. So I am going to go back and scan it again. Okay, here we go. QR code. All right, popped up at the bottom. You're gonna click it. And let's see what we got. Okay. So ideally the buttons will be a little bit bigger, but you see the point. Someone can just click follow on Instagram. Click it, and look, there is the Instagram. Easy peasy, etc., etc. So that's a link tree. Now I know that one is a little bit, testy. You can figure out exactly how you want it to work for your business, but I use it personally, especially when I'm out meeting new people, doing new things. I'm like, hey, scan. You can do all the things right here. Super duper easy. Okay, we have two more, and these two are definitely going to be my favorite two, because I used them recently and they have literally changed the game for my business. Okay, so we are going to talk about display. Now, what do I mean by display?